Hello and welcome to our second episode of One&Only Stories. Today we are discussing about very interesting subject, and today's hot topic is braille and tactile signages. And today we have a interesting guest. His name is Mr. Bhaskar Naidu. He is the founder of Stiple Media and who is specialized in braille and tactile signages. And Mr. Bhaskar, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Mohan. It's a honor and privilege to be in this show. And like you said about Bangalore International Airport, I too had a opportunity to have and see those signages because since I'm in the same business, so it is all the more important for me to understand and see how the signages were there. Actually, it was disappointing for me too. Reason one was they had put all SS brails. Why SS brails was a question. Because if you see the blind people or partially blind people, for them, light reflecting on their eyes is not acceptable. So it hurts them actually. So SS, for that matter, could be if light falls on those, it can reflect on their eyes and it can probably hurt them. So that is why if you see all the international signages are nowhere in
Reflective.
SS formats.
In fact, talking about the kind of what has not been done there, like before we get into the root cause, like what is wrong about all the signages, I want to know, what made you to fall in love with this domain. Yeah, you've been, doing a lot of other things in for signage industry, but suddenly I saw like you become an industry leader when it comes to braille and tactile, where you are servicing a lot of corporates. What's your journey is all about?
Yeah, thank you, Bon. See, actually, I started off with normal signage. So eventually it led into internal signages. Internal signages, I mean all those meeting rooms, restrooms, and conference rooms, these types. While doing this, I wanted to carve a niche in this subject. So one of the interesting part was about while going through a lot of manuals and YouTubes, a lot of industry across the globe have evolved in this segment actually. For the visually impaired people, they give a lot of importance compared to what India could have done. So this led me to understand where we stand and started doing a lot of research in this subject. And I started reading a lot of things. How could we incorporate in this industry ourselves? So that's how I entered this segment. And fortunately for me, a lot of people like you encouraged and made this happen.
For me, it took almost 2 years to understand the guidelines. There is a lot of things where people wants to do braille and tactile. This is also one of the unorganized segment, where we came across now for the Bangalore International Airport Terminal 2. The guy who would have executed the signages probably he didn't had a knowledge
Yeah, true.
of what is the correct way of doing it. Coming to that point, what was my observation was, number one, as you mentioned, the signage itself, the reflective signage, they've used a purple glared,
Yes.
an acrylic with an SS sign. And then I saw one is the SS braille to it. The other one is the spacing between
Yeah.
uh, the braille was completely different, and the size of the signage is humongous. And I could able to see there is a icon to it, and the icon is made out of vinyl, and that is also reflective. It's not matte. So complete. If you look at the entire sign program, especially keeping the braille and tactile, it is not at all as per
Nowhere
standards.
near. Yeah.
And when we are looking at it's an international, it's a flag bearer compared to other airports. This subject is definitely not convincing, because we will come across people across the globe who is like, if you look at somebody is flying from America, there is a very strong intent of Braille and Tactile. There is a very strong rule. ADA is compliant in everything they do. And if somebody is walking from that particular country and visiting our airport, and they walking to a restroom, and they could able to see a signage is meant more than what's supposed to be, and today it is just a product going on a wall but not serving the purpose. And this is what my observation was, and I'm sure that you agree to my point, because
True, yeah, Mohan. I also felt, but reason why I say this is probably somebody wanted this signage to be incorporated there, but they didn't follow the guidelines.
correct,
Reason one could be there's no much knowledge in that. For the sake of
doing it,
installing, they have done it without understanding the basic requirement for an ADA signage to or American Disability signage to be part of this. So it becomes all the more important for us to standardize certain elements, certain spaces, and certain sizes, so that and like you said, that being a very entry point for a lot of international travelers to come in.
correct,
And in that space, if we are not as per the standards, then imagine how could it be elsewhere.
correct.
So it becomes all the more important for us to bring in a lot of standards and specification into the business.
So, Mr. Bhaskar, like, let's discuss when you talk about Braille,
Hmm.
right? We know to the fact there are a lot of schools. Um, do we have any? Because I come across this difference like when I am working for top corporates, right? The international guidelines talk about grade two, and the moment you look at from Indian standards, it's grade one. Many people don't understand what is the difference. So, can you talk about that? What is the difference between grade one Braille and grade two Braille? Is it more of a language or it's of a material?
Yeah, there is grade one and grade two in international standards. But since we are just evolving in those subject, for us, grade one, from Indian point of view, grade one makes sense because it elaborates the entire sentence. It takes the entire words we can say for that matter. So grade two is something where it is short form. Like for example, if you say conference room, you don't have to elaborate the entire spelling per se. So you can just say CONF and room. So it makes sense for the signage to be smaller and the space can be maintained accordingly.
So,
So
for our viewers, like grade one is about if there is a conference room as a typo or a content for a signage, it's CON, like that. Every alphabet will have specific braille.
correct,
When it comes to grade 2, conference room need not to have specifically for every alphabet. It can be a short
short
form.
form,
This is what a difference
correct.
between grade 1 and grade 2.
The basically it is to bring the space down and make the smaller signage smaller. Otherwise, it becomes too big.
So you mean to say that, like, taking away the subject from signage when it comes to books, so the braille is about grade 2 because of the
Correct,
space constraint.
correct.
Okay, this is
Yes,
what
true,
the difference between grade
true.
1 and grade 2. I know to the fact that yes, grade 1 and grade 2 can differentiate, but what is the base for these two different? Is it because of ADA and Indian standard? Is two different regulations?
No, somebody has actually put a lot of thought in this process. Maybe a lot of international organizations who are working towards this visually impaired people have put a lot of thoughts in this segment, and they have created this grade one and grade two. While we have to go a long way in that, it is better to we start implementing these parameters faster.
So what is better according to you? Like it is ADA or Indian standards? Which one
I
has
mean, we should
more grip?
eventually get into Indian standards because ours is a very large country and very huge population and a lot of village or B class, C class towns find it difficult to understand certain things. So it is better to follow our own standards and create benchmark for that, a standardization for that.
See, you being in the corporate real estate domain where we service most of the corporates, I saw a tremendous, you know, requirement suddenly from past 3 4 years. Like, is it because of the compliance? Everybody wants to. Is it a regulation passed? All the builders started calling. We need to have these braille signages. Suddenly I could able to see many corporates wants to, though they look at signages from traditional angle, but they want to incorporate braille in tactile to it. There's a sudden requirements coming out in the market. Is it just for a compliance point, or they really incorporating
No,
for?
actually, what has happened is, if you see, uh, Bangalore or India is growing tremendously, and all the international companies want a space in this in our country, and all the products what we use is predominantly manufactured or set up in other countries. So, since India is growing, and it makes sense for them to come to India for market purpose, and it also makes sense for them to have their own specifications. So while they have standardizations there, they want the same to be replicated across. So if Microsoft has an office here, or IBM has an office here, or an Apple has an office here, they want standardization in signage formats. So being that one reason, they started implementing or pushing people to have this type of signages. While parallelly, our Indian government also was working towards these segments to help those visually impaired or physically challenged people. In this segment, it became more important for them to bring in some standardization. At the same time, a lot of foreign companies started coming to India, so it became more important for them to have these type of signages. That's how the demand started increasing, actually.
And also, I saw like today we have consultants like PWD
Mm,
consultants
mm,
also is being part of a lot of decision makings.
mm,
The way the entrance supposed to be, the complete journey. I
mm.
believe that even I mean, it's part of their values as well. Inclusivity and accessibility. Every corporate is giving importance, even if it is one visitor, one employee. It is a must now. I believe it is a
Yeah,
must.
actually, a lot of corporates have actually taken initiative to respect this segment, and they have also benchmarked around 6 to 7%, or if I'm wrong, 20% should be employed. Physically challenged people should also be given importance for employment. When this happens, and eventually these energies also will be part of that agenda. So while they are working, they need space, they need to understand a lot of things. So it is some decisions been taken internationally to respect that segment and give them equal importance in the process.
I have one smart question for you, because I support a lot of design community. We always feel that because of these set standards, there is a blockage for us to express our creativity, because of it needs to be followed XYZ process. So do you think that I'm voicing over behalf of all the designers? um, what How do we approach this? Because you are saying that this is a rule you have to follow. At the same time, my client is saying I need some interesting design. How do we balance it out?
Yeah, yeah, actually, very nice subject you're talking about. We need definitely designer support for all this purpose. While I'm talking about specific space in the braille segments, I also seen lot of international brands adapting to a lot of aesthetic way of signages. Your design can be can play a very important role, because recently what we also done is internally we have also developed customized color signages.
Okay,
Suppose you have your own brand color,
correct,
we can develop those things. So as a designer, you have it even you can't restrict only to black and white
correct.
signages. You can play around. Similarly, you can also incorporate a lot of printing activities within the signages.
Mhm.
We can bring in a lot of background colors to those signages, and we can play a lot of things. You play a very important role, in fact, in
Is
this.
there a science, like do we have to have the contrast? like colors to
Yes,
be
like I
used?
said, physically, I mean, partially impaired people will definitely not like those glary thing to hurt their eyes. And if you see, a lot of facilities will have lot of lights
Correct.
in their facilities, and this can probably reflect in their eyes. So that it's always important to have a matte finish without a glossy finish, and even the letters has to be very, not throwing harsh
The font style.
font signs. Yeah,
Okay, coming back to the colors, like colors and the font plays a very
very
important role
important. Yes.
for signages, internal signages. So I could able to see that, one is the color. It needs to be contrast. So if I am using the font white, by default, it should be a
Yeah, the background should be contrast.
contrast.
Yes,
So like that should be the thumb rule.
correct,
What you're saying.
correct.
And do we have any like I could able to see only braille is fine, right? For the signage, why we need to have tactile? Like, does anybody feel the letters or the icons? Is there a possibility where we need not to have a tactile? Only braille is good enough. Is there any possibility that we can able to play around on?
Yeah, I mean, why the reason we came across tactile was the two segment of visually impaired people. One is completely blind, and second is partially blind.
Okay.
So for a completely blind person, doesn't make sense to have
Colors as a
colors as a vibrant colors or letters pointing out. But for a visually impaired person, apart from the braille, he can even feel or he can see those letters partially. It makes sense to have those tactile letters.
because of the depth what
Depth.
it
Yes,
creates.
yes.
So you can able to read from a distance.
Correct.
Oh, that's the science.
Correct.
So yeah, we spoke about design. Like, yeah, I understand that. I could able to make sure that we listen or adapt these things, and but we can able to still play around with the shapes. Do you think that shapes
You can. I
doesn't
mean, aesthetically, yes. From the aesthetical point of view, lot of corporates want rather than having a just blind just name
correct?
and you can play around. Yes,
Because
designers will have a huge.
we come across this challenge
Yes.
because every corporate which we work for, there are somewhere or other way. For us also, it's a creative challenge, like how we can able to incorporate the standards, but it looks aesthetically well. In that way, yes, we can able to balance it out.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of scope for design to play a very important role as far as the aesthetic point of view and from the design point of view and from the implementation point of view. Yes.
Do you think all corporates nowadays started incorporating, or still it's a process? Do we need a drive where we can able to tell them, that this is something which is mandatory?
Yeah, while a lot of corporates have initiated, but we have a long way to go. We have to drive, especially the government sectors need to have this. I don't know whether they have, but recently I came across all the post offices.
Oh,
In
very
fact, I had
nice.
the privileges of doing multiple post offices
Very
braille
nice.
signages.
Very nice.
So I have done them. So a lot of government initiative has to be taken, though there is initiative driven, but there's not accurate enough to drive in that segment. So I think INDU play a very important role to bring in this segment more importance for the visually impaired people.
So, do you think that only this concept is going around in the urbanized, well planned cities, or how do you approach to tier 2, tier 3, or maybe the villages?
Yeah,
Do you think that we have sufficient bandwidth to approach that, keeping even the government support or whatever it is? Do you think that can happen, or it will take a lot of time?
no, in this segment, I feel if NGOs can actually participate and collaborate with us, the speed could be far more, encouraging.
Correct.
And because blind or visually impaired people are not restricted only to certain cities or certain towns, it is spread across.
Spread
So
across.
it becomes all the more importance for to take this along all the
I
way
agree.
to the smallest remote places. So I think the NGO plays a very important role, and I would be definitely happy to participate and collaborate with this type of people. So the speed could be far more.
And sir, like next subject is we spoke about how we can able to approach the villages segment. Do you think that because of the technology advancement, I have read an article like today for the accessibility there are audio wayfinding has been generated. Like you just it can navigate you inside the office spaces with take left, take right using the sensors. Do you think this traditional approach of having this braille and tactile will overshadow because of the technology advancement? Do you think that will happen?
No, while we have to embrace technology, but I don't think the technology can overtake the traditional method of doing brails. But we can go hand in hand. There could be certain segments where definitely we require audio visuals for the people who are deaf and blind. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that could help possibly. Second is it cannot be incorporated to all the facilities because of a lot of space constraint and a lot of cost constraint. But having said this, it has to go hand in hand. It cannot be completely uh, overnight changed into digital formats.
Yeah. See, we have spoke about technology and everything. This is another interesting subject. I come across whenever we have a timeline, I come across this highest quality at a lowest price at a quickest time. This is the market demand. How do we address? I know to the fact that if it is a normal signage, we can print and apply and we can install overnight. But when it comes to braille, I'm still struggling to explain them. There is a science to it, there is a method to it, because the way we draft the signage, there is a time process to it. And also, most important is the price segment. Today the market is demanding a braille and tactile signage because a lot of efforts goes into it at a price point where we were doing normal signage. Do you think there is a gap in understanding of the process from a client perspective? I'm talking about from a client perspective, and the way the competition is going, chasing towards getting an order or bagging an order, not achieving the actual intent of what it's supposed to be. Do you think that the highest quality at a lowest price and the quickest time? Do
No,
you
I
think?
had the similar problem what you faced. I also faced the same problem, but I always tell my client, cheap cannot be best. So
Correct.
if you want to good quality, it has to be given its importance. It has to be given its time. And we are working so much in improving this segment in such a parameter so that it could be easily uh, applied or easily implemented. At the same time, it has to be easily ease of operations for the visually impaired people. In this segment, we cannot straight away talk about costing or it will affect the overall uh, performance of the product.
Correct.
So if you have to give certain importance to a certain product, then a certain product has to be used. We can just putting dots as braille doesn't help.
It doesn't.
It doesn't
It's
help.
not a matter of just
Correct.
doing it for the
For
sake
them,
of
they
doing
have
it.
to feel it.
Correct.
So there is a science behind it. Right? Unless people respect and give that importance, then it's just a for the sake of putting it out.
So, do you think that technology bringing some advanced machine or maybe optimizing it, because we can't change the market scenario? To be honest, like if we can able to change it, it might take some time because not everybody is in that format. Most of the clients have seen that they respect of what's supposed to be done. Like they give that space for us, they give time, they give the budget as well. But not everybody. Not everybody. Do you think that for not everybody? Can we introduce, or there is any process where we can able to optimize the cost and timeline? Is there a quick way of doing the signages?
Yeah, of course. There is plenty of options actually. Like if you go to Paris or France, you can see all their buses have got those brailles
Oh my god.
implemented.
Oh my
And
god.
if you have to see the recent Olympics which France
Hmm.
had, they have a braille statue sitting on certain thing.
Oh my god.
So that is the importance they're giving for this braille segment. Like you said, yeah, while it's important to incorporate these segments in all the places, now a lot of packaging industries are coming out with braille.
Do you think that I mean I know to the fact that you have got a new technology of printing the braille.
Yes, there
So that
is.
is
Yeah,
there a way that we can able to optimize so that that can able to help our client who are not ready to
yeah.
pay or maybe not ready to compromise on the timeline.
There
Will
is a
that help?
technology where we can actually print the entire signage and give it, but we have to go a long way still, because the ink per se has got only the glossy ink.
Okay.
So compared to what we are doing from the
Traditional way of.
traditional way, if probably we reach somewhere having the matte finish ink probably, and yes, technology can play a very important role, and we are there, and we are also adapting to a lot of things, and we probably in coming days you can see things happening.
See, we know to the fact that all the facilities as the braille pen, thinking that everybody is incorporated. There are ways like I have come across there's one braille is out. I think how do we address that as a you know challenge? Like, do you think that they have to change the entire signage if even one braille is out from the signage?
Yeah, you have to change even if one dot is out, because it is like your the way you cook.
Hmm.
There's a there's a, there's a formula to make those signages. You can't just do for the sake of doing it and do something haphazardly. There is a system, there's a process which has to be followed very systematically and very neatly. Yes, a lot of signages are falling down, which we came across even for international airport. You said
Correct.
those SS signages are falling down.
So, like, if there is one dot is not there, the entire the alphabet will change,
It
right?
will
Because
change. It is like your LED signages or your lights. If
correct.
SHEL, H
Yeah.
is gone, it becomes, I mean, S is gone, it becomes hell.
In fact, like the braille is like all these 9 dots. If because all the alphabet is made out of these dots, right? Either
Yes, yes,
it
yes.
is like two
Correct.
is gone here, here
Yeah,
and there.
complete
So the terminology itself will change.
change. Yeah. For
So
them, when they touch and feel, they will not even understand what is this
correct.
and where they have to go.
And also, if I am not wrong, the numerics and alphabets also has the similarity, right?
Yes,
In
yes,
the braille, like
yes.
for one it is the same, for A also it's the same.
So what we do, if there is a number
Yeah.
incorporated in a signage, we always put 4 dots like L shape.
Okay.
So that for them it indicates there's a number sign next to that.
Okay. So
So
if
there's
there, for
indication.
example, there is my name,
Yeah,
Mohan, and before Mohan, if there is any number,
yeah.
so you have to define it
With
with the
L.
shape.
Yes.
So the L is, I believe, it's a hashtag,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the number.
Correct.
So there is a number, and then
Yeah.
comes again the alphabet.
Correct. The moment they touch that L, they understand. They immediately they understand there's a number coming next.
Okay, that's the way they understand.
Correct.
So that is another subject, Mr. Bhaskar. Like when it comes to braille, I've seen some brailles are exactly center of the signage. Some brailles are extremely left. Some brailles somebody would have done extremely right. Because what is the actual way of having a signage? If it is left aligned, where people can able to read the signage, or it is center aligned.
No, you should think from the user perspective.
Okay,
The user is the visually impaired person.
correct.
For them, the moment he comes into a facility, at the moment he knows there is a signage, he can't be running around all over the place.
Correct.
The moment he touches, he must know there's a signage here. I mean, there's a braille
Braille.
signage here.
Okay.
So you can't keep it somewhere extremely right or somewhere in the center for the sake of your design or from the aesthetic point of view. You should think from the user perspective and keep it always on the left
side. By the way, our international airport is center aligned.
Yes.
I can able to see
Yes.
the braille is exactly center.
Yes.
So there is no
Completely wrong.
completely wrong.
Disaster.
So we understand that it needs to be left aligned, and I can able to see there is a symbol like a D. What exactly it is?
That is called as an indicator.
Mm-hmm.
So for the visually impaired people, while they're touching, when they feel this D which is embossing, they know there's braille next to it.
So this is as per Indian standards.
Yes.
Because I don't see that in American standard.
Yes.
American standard doesn't require
Correct.
that D,
Correct.
right? It
Correct.
is actually American standards as a center line.
Correct.
So in Indian standards, viewers, for Indian standards, it's very important to have that format where it needs to be left aligned and you could have come across in most of the wherever you've seen, whoever followed the guidelines, it is always left aligned. Even in the movie theaters, it's not accessible, right? Do you think that movie theaters has the
No,
braille signages? I have
no,
not come
no,
across.
no.
It's not, surprisingly, there is no
Yes.
accessibility or inclusivity in
In
the
fact, all the seats should have, if you
seat
ask.
should have.
Yes.
So it is not done. So all the movie theater owners, please do incorporate. Just because he's blind, do you think that they don't go to the movie theater? I think they might know.
No, they might, because see, blind person is not out of family. No, he's within the family. He can be within the family too. And how can you isolate the person and go for a movie? He can also be taken along. Probably could enjoy the sound, the music. So it makes sense to have braille signage even in those areas too. Why not?
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
inclusivity and accessibility, because I
yeah.
can able to see the wheelchairs in the movie theater,
Correct.
and there is a provision to it. I
So why
think it.
not?
Why not? I think there is a way to do it. I think it should be incorporated because it doesn't
I mean, if
doesn't
you have to
cost
give
much.
importance, it has to be given importance to across. You can't bifurcate and say this is not required, that is not required types.
It's a basic requirement,
Yeah.
even if it is a one user. Maybe, I mean, if you ask me, if I am a visually impaired, I would like to hear my hero voice. I just go to listen
Hmm.
to his movie songs,
Correct.
maybe his dialogues. I want to sit next to my family. Why not? I
Yeah.
could able to feel my seat number as well.
Yeah.
It's
True.
so it's better to incorporate braille,
Makes sense. Yes.
so
Why
in the
not?
movie theaters as well. So
Yeah.
in that context, I think there is a long way,
Very long way to educate and
incorporate.
incorporate this, yeah,
And in
subject.
fact,
Yes.
restrooms also is very fascinated
Yeah.
signages inside the movie theaters now. Like you can able to see the flashy gold. I don't want to take up the brand name. You can able to see the flashy gold signages, and but you don't incorporate braille to it, but you can incorporate. This is one way of bringing the standards and helping, even if it is one viewer or a user of your movie theater. In that note, I think we can.
Yeah. It's like giving importance to
Hmm.
those people. Yes.
So, sir, thank you so much for being part of our second episode. It was a great knowledge sharing experience. And most of us, though we know to the fact that, braille signages need XYZ rules and regulations which we need to follow, to help our client also, we need an expert like you who can able to explain in a very simplest way. I think you have done a great job for us, for our viewers, including our customers. So, what do you think that any drive we need to, start to help everybody, even the corporates, to have a consistency in the signages, or we need to allow each and every brand to follow their, brand guidelines. On a very closing note, what do you think?
No, like I said in the beginning, a lot of corporates have started falling into bringing a lot of importance to these segments of visually impaired people. So there's a percentage to be employed within the organization. While that happens, then this automatically has to be given importance for braille signages. So these things are happening from a larger perspective, but down the line we'll have to drive more and do a lot of education in this segment to bring in and give importance to this segment of people who are left behind and who struggle to move around.
Sir, what do you think? Like I understand we have discussed about corporate. What if, what about these smaller businesses? Like I go to a restaurant, I'm a blind, partially blind. I don't see a braille signage there, even in a cash counter. How does it help? Even I don't think any establishment, small establishments, ever incorporated braille.
Yeah, see the
Even
smaller.
even clinics,
Mm,
even clinics, they don't incorporate. I don't know whether blind. I mean, I need to do this research. Whether the hospitals who takes care of this particular segment, do you think they have braille signages?
no, what has happened across the globe is they give importance to at least certain areas, like for example, restroom,
Hmm.
which every individual needs across the industry, whether it's
But do you think that, like hospitals, big hospitals in Bangalore who treats, the segment, do you think they have braille? I have not. I have not.
no,
I have not.
no,
No.
no.
this is really surprising. This is really, really surprising. I think we need to have a drive
Yeah,
to establish this change.
correct.
I think we need to educate. It's not about just doing it for the sake of doing it.
No, predominantly what is happening now is only the large facilities are having this. Otherwise, it's just,
And especially, I think the basic requirements like hospitals,
yeah, you should.
like metro stations, railway. I see that there's a braille for
Metro, yes.
metro and also the railways.
Yes.
We could able to see every seat as a braille.
Yes, yes. Railways are playing a very
And
important.
airports,
Yeah.
we need a change because the real understanding of the braille, some PWD consultants has to revisit the airports. Please check whether it's being done as per the standards. I have checked, it's not done as per the standards. I've raised my voice also, it's not been changed. It's been 3 years. Every year I go, I don't see the change. So other than that, small establishment like wherever there is a medical store or maybe the restaurants, try incorporating. It doesn't cost much. You can reach out Mr. Bhaskar, he can help you out. I will flash his number in my the last what do you call credits, so that you can able to take his contact and you can reach him out. Thank you so much, sir, for coming all the way for my second episode. My viewers, more interesting entrepreneurs will be part of our podcast, and we will discuss about interesting subject like this and many more to go. Check it out.